What is going on, friends? Welcome back to another video. If you guys are new to the channel, I'm Ashley and I make new fish videos every single week. So remember to smash the subscribe button and come join the family. So today I'm here with Marcus. Hello. And Marcus and I, we go way back. Like I haven't seen you in what 10 years.
That would be around that.
10. Haven't seen him for 10 years, and so happens he knows a thing about arowanas, and so today we're here to talk about arowana grooming and how to get it done. Okay, so Marcus, tell me, I see a lot about what they call arowana grooming, which to me is a new term. I haven't, I always see it around, I don't really know what is it. I see this term arowana grooming and arowana tanning. So what is that?
Okay, so just to clap the air, alright. Arowana grooming, arowana tanning, everybody has different opinions. So this is strictly my opinion. Alright, I've been keeping arowana since I was 7. Then I entered the fish trade when I was about 18. Okay, so these are all experience that I gained over the past, and of course now I decided to apply it to myself. Right, so for arowana tanning, okay, usually tanning refers to like what we do, right? For humans, we go for sun tanning, right? For arowanas also, they do need tanning as well. Okay, for arowana tanning do in the past, alright, usually we tan red arowanas instead of gold, because for red arowanas, they actually take a longer time for the color to develop. So, back in the days, somebody actually tried to use high-powered lights and to so-called shine the arowana, right, about 24 hours a day, and then we decided to see what's the after effects, right? So one thing we noticed that in the house and in the wild, usually in the wild the arowanas they actually look color-wise very quite vibrant, right? This is achievable in the house, because one thing we don't realize is that the house is a fully sheltered area, so you don't really get much of a sunlight or sun tanning, so to say. So they tried to so-called try to simulate it inside the fish aquarium trade, which is where the word tanning comes about, right? So usually for tanning wise, it is more of a process to quicken up the color pigmentation of the arowana, so that we can bring up the color faster within a shorter period of time. Because for the fish trade, most of the customers, they will not spend, for now the market rate about small arowana, basically depending on selling prices. For red arowana, there's 3 grades, or what we call 2 type but 3 grading. So for the most common one, what we see here, the red arowanas, is actually grade 1. Okay, which means that when the fish grows older, the color will intensify or grow deeper. Okay, the other one is grade 2. So for G2 red, what happens is that when they are young, they look even redder than the grade 1 arowanas, right? But in the long term, when you start keeping it, you find the color actually starts to fade. Then when it grows big, actually the coloration turns out to be, the body will be green, then the tail will become slightly yellowish color compared to the G1.
So G1 is rated above?
Yes, G1 is a higher graded fish. As it grows older, it will become redder. Of course, this would be achievable by grooming techniques and then your tanning, which I will explain, right? So for red arowanas G1, there's also 2 types in the local market. One is local red, second is Kalimantan, or what they call Indonesian red. Okay, all red arowanas originated from Indonesia, right? Then after that, Singapore, actually we brought them over, we started breeding them. Then this term came out, local red, because they're bred in Singapore. So for most of the Singaporean market now, actually they are leaning more towards the Kalimantan red, or what we call the Indo red side, because there has been said and been proven that Kalimantan red, when you buy it straight from Indonesia, actually when it grows older, the color will actually be nicer, right? So for tanning process, okay, there's 2 types of tanning. One is what we call intensive tanning, then one is what we call soft tanning. Okay, usually for arowanas wise, there are also a few types of lights to use. In the past, it's PL lights, which is the one currently I'm using, right?
So PL stands for?
PL light is basically what we call the Philips light. Yes, right? So there is the PL light, there is the T5 and T8. So T5 and T8 are the old-fashioned. I believe when we are young, that time we do see the fluorescent light tail. Yes, T8 is the one that's bigger, and then T5 is the smaller lights. Right? These are generally used. But nowadays, due to technology advancement, then we start to see LED. So LED wise, there's also a few versions. some of them is just normal color enhancing LED, which means that the light is not white color, it's actually pink or yellow. So for people who buy arowanas, usually when they are young, because usually we don't do tanning when they are young, okay? So they actually bought pink or yellow light, so when they on the lights, the fish actually looks redder than usual, or when they put with a gold arowana or cross light, it enhances the colors, it looks much vibrant. But the drawback is that when you off the lights, you get to see back the original color. It does not really enhance the color. While for PL, T5 and T8, the older fashion lights, it's more of a permanent effect. So when you on the light, let's say you on the light for about a month, after you off the light for a month, you actually see that the colors actually improve over time, unlike the normal ones. So for tanning period, there's two types of tanning, the intensive and soft. So for soft tanning is what we call, people use the LED lights that has UVA and UVB rays inside. Okay, basically UVA and UVB actually refers to the vitamin A and vitamin B, okay, which normal LED lights doesn't carry. That's why it's able to come up with this tanning effect. But one thing I find about the drawback about the LED lights for tanning effect, that is the tanning speed is a bit too slow. So I might, let's say I use a PL light, although PL light generally the electric consumption is much higher, but I can achieve the tanning effect within about 2 months compared to using those LED probably take up much longer time. And then it also depends on how you tan arowanas. Okay, for groomers and fish farm owners, like when you go to fish farms, you will see that we keep arowanas totally different from the hobbies you see outside. Okay, when we tan arowanas, our water level tends to be a bit lower. We probably keep about 1 to 2 inches of the water level higher than the fish itself only. Right? And then most of the time you won't see the fish. You only see the light that's covering the fish.
Right, so that's why I see.
Yes, right. This is what we call intensive tanning. Why we do this? Because it's very simple. It's actually fish-wise is very logically speaking. So like let's say we go for sun tanning, we do not only tan our hands, right? So we want the spectrum of the light to hit every single part of the body. That's why we put the water lower, and then we put very big lights so that it will actually cover up the entire fish. So another reason for putting low water is because we do not want the fish to escape from the spectrum. So for like some you see maybe hobbyists or some fish keepers, they like to buy the UV the so-called soft tanning lights, then they put it in the middle of the tank. But then when you look at it properly, right, the fish either swimming above the light or they're swimming below the light. They're never swimming the light level. So this is the difference between intensive tanning and soft tanning. But for results wise, usually intensive tanning would be the one that is more practical usage. But of course it also has its drawbacks. Now when you do intensive tanning, when doing intensive tanning, one thing you start to notice that every single fish actually has this thing called slime coat. Alright? So for intensive tanning, because the light is very hot and it's very bright itself, it will actually stress out the fish and the fish will start to lose its slime coat. Okay? This is one of the drawbacks. Secondly is what we call drop eye in arowana. So when you look around, be it fish or fish farms, even some hobbyist tanks, you can see one of the eye of the arowana actually is drooping down. It's actually not even. So this usually is caused by environmental factors, especially if the fish is young. So it can be due to highlighting, or maybe they put the fish way above a human's level. So when people walk by, the fish is always looking down. So these are all very logical explanations of it. So these are also mainly one of the few drawbacks. But for stress, we talk about the stress and then the slime coat. So what I usually do is I add aloe vera. So aloe vera, one thing that recent studies, even for these past few years, we have always seen there are some products that actually so-called promote slime coat growth and appetite enhancers. Usually they contain 2 ingredients. Some contain only aloe vera, some contains garlic. But of course I prefer to use aloe vera, because aloe vera, when you do grind it into juices, you actually feel there's actually this slime. And so far I tried it on my own fishes. When I noticed that the fish, when they have very low appetite, when I put in the aloe vera, usually 1 to 2 days they will start eating already compared to garlic. So I decided to use aloe vera instead.
So how do you prepare the aloe vera? You just grind it?
So aloe vera, it's not really a tedious process. So usually it comes in the leaf form. Right? So what you need to do is trim off the sides, and then you remove the outer layer of the skin. Then you go and grind out the internal area. Then after that, just pour the entire bowl into the tank. That's fine.
So this is all tanning
Tanning process.
right? So how does that
Yes.
differ from grooming?
Okay, so grooming for arowanas wise, for arowana most hobbyists, myself, fish farm owners, we do actually have a selection of criteria when you want to pick arowana. It's not that simple of just, of course there are some people that just go to the fish shop, they see the fish, they like it, they buy. For me, number one, I'm a groomer, so I do put a higher standard on myself rather than other people or maybe some of my customers. So if let's say I were to buy it for myself, for me definitely I will go for the one I like. Yeah, but for the one grooming, then it will be a totally different story. Okay, when choosing arowana, okay, there are a few things we have to look out for. One is the lower jaw. This happens a lot in reds. It might be genetic effect, it might be due to lack of care. It does happen. Okay, so the lower jaw, in times of case, you actually see the lower jaw protruding out of the upper jaw. So that is one of the defect which we call short form that we call PLJ, which is protruding lower jaw. Okay, so this is one of the faults to look out for. Second thing, jaw eyes. So even though when they are young that time, alright, fish farms usually they do put them in low water and they use the light as well. It's just that they are not using so high powered lights, they might be using T5 or T8. So that will cause the eye to drop as well. So that's the second thing to look out for. So third is what most people would want to go for, which I don't really focus on, that's body shape. So for arowanas, it's always, you do hear this term, bullet head, spoon head, and all the broad body, sumo body, you hear all these type of terms, or you hear these type of terms. So broad body refers to when you look at two fish of a same size, okay? You always notice that one fish, the body is slightly higher. That's what we call broad body. That means the body is quite huge, quite large.
So the height of the fish.
Yes, the height of the fish is actually quite large. So that's what we call broad body. Then after that, there's this term called sumo. So sumo actually refers to the thickness of the fish. Alright? Then lastly, we go to the fin edge. So for arowanas, they said that it's something like what we call in Asia, we call it the dragonfish. So dragonfish, basically the pectoral fins is like the wings of the fish. Right? So most people, I will not say most, but actually all of us, we actually pick a fish with the longest pectoral fin you can find, also the biggest. That is one of the key issues. And crossing this over to what I said, the local rate, between the local rate and the Kalimantan rates, the Indonesian rates. Indonesian rates, the finish are actually, if you compare it, they're actually longer than local ones. So there is already a difference. Right? Then the last one, we're looking at the caudal tail, that means the tail at the back. Right? So the caudal tail would be the what we call the fully spread out one, is what we call fan tail. So that's what everybody wants. Right? The bigger the tail, then when you look at the overall general appearance of the fish, because the tail is big at the back, actually it looks like the dorsal, the caudal, and then the anal fin actually looks like it's fan shape. The very big round, nice looking shape. Instead of having one small tail, then it looks quite aerodynamic. You don't really get the general feel of that. So that is what a lot of people look out for when you're choosing arowana. Okay? So back to the grooming part. So grooming part, it's actually different from keeping an arowana. For keeping an arowana, usually like for us, maybe we are working, we feed them maybe once a night, once in a day, and then one at night, and then we just call it night. So for grooming wise, actually we don't really do that. Okay, what I usually do is that I will feed them more meals, but lesser quantity. So maybe one day they eat about 5 pieces of prawn, or maybe 3 pieces of worm a day. Right? I will separate morning one, afternoon one, and then at night one if possible. Because I do have 2 to 3 days off per week, so I do have the time to go and, to so-called sort out the meals and then try to feed them. Because what? Same thing for human. If we were to feed them large amounts but very little meals per day, you'll notice that the growth is very uneven. This is also one of the factors that might lead to PLJ. It might not. This one we have not known yet because there's no scientific theory. But so far, this is what I observe. Right? Same thing for humans. Like if you binge eat once a day, you don't think they grow in stomach. Right? You don't really see much of growth. Our stomach will just keep growing for some reason. So it applies to fish as well. So for different fishes, I have different ways to handling them. When grooming fishes is different from keeping in general. In general, we just throw the food and then we just ignore it. For me, when growing fishes, I will see, okay, which fish eat more, which fish eat lesser. Right? Then I will calculate and give them based on what they actually eat instead of just overfeeding them again and again. So actually there's this theory between more meals and less quantity. So basically a fish digestive system actually depends whether it's carnivore, omnivore or herbivore. Okay? Because I did, I think about 2 or 3 years back, I did a part-time diploma on aquaculture. So I do learn some of the aspects that I can apply it to myself. Okay? So to generalize, carnivore fish usually they have a small stomach and a very short intestine. So that means the amount of time that the food will actually stay in the stomach and down the intestine is a very short period of time. So if let's say you have to feed a lot, it can't really absorb all the nutrients inside. So to properly let it eat, we constrict the amount of food so that it will actually, the intestine can actually spend more time to actually absorb everything. Unlike herbivore fishes, where you see herbivore fishes have a very long intestinal tract. Because for herbivore, they eat more on plants and then they get seeds, and then seeds are very hard to digest.
So it needs to stay inside.
Yeah, so it needs to stay inside longer compared to carnivore fish. Right? If you notice, how do I put this? Okay, so if you notice, right, if let's say I were to feed carrots to superworm, which I've been doing, right, I do feed them color enhancers, this and that to increase up the keratin level. Because for carnivore fish, they can't really absorb. You can't really let them eat carrots lah. Basically, that's the sense. You can't really let them eat carrots because they usually don't eat that, right? They usually eat more meat. So what I can do is that the keratin level inside the superworm, at least I still can control the level. So by feeding it more, the keratin level will transfer over to the superworm. Then I feed it to my fish, and because it's in because after the keratin level, it can also be converted to protein. So my fish will be easily absorbable. Compared to some people use pellets. Pellets wise, there's different type of pellets. Some, although they say they use krill base, some of them didn't even state, they just put soybeans. Or yes, because soybeans protein level is actually very high, to be honest. But it is not easily digestible by fish because it is vegetable. It's not protein form. It's not pure protein form. So for grooming wise, we tend to look at the fish. Okay, so for example, I'm feeding this fish for a week. Okay, I take notice. So I noticed that maybe I feed a little bit too little, or maybe because it started growing, it needs more food intake. So I can start to see that maybe the lower jaw starts to protrude a little. So that's why I will start to feed more. This is what I call pumping process. Right? So when you pump the fish, right, we start to feed it more, then we'll take a look at the growth again. Because some fish wise, they do have different appetite levels. After a few times they stop, and then after that cause a PLJ. That one we can't really do much about it. But there is still some cosmetic surgery that farm people do, that actually fix the PLJ and all the job and this type of thing. So for grooming wise, it's more of how often you change your water, what's the food level you feed the fish, and how many times. Actually, this only refers to this stream.
Okay, so say for example, like let's run through. Say for example, like I just bought a new Asian Arowana.
Alright.
Maybe it's like a small 5 to 7 inches. And then now I want to start grooming. So what would you recommend? Like what's the tank size? Let's go through one by one. So what tank size would you recommend?
Okay, for tank size Asian Arowana, if you are trying to keep it in long term, so for your aspect wise, if let's say your hobbies, if you are keeping let's say crossback, right? Because crossback and red do have actually differ in size. For crossback, usually a 5x2x2 tank would be sufficient for permanent home. But for red arowana, then you have to go to a depth of 2.5 feet.
So is that necessary for the grooming as well, or can they go smaller for grooming and upgrade in the future?
You can, but if you are willing to spend the money of changing tanks, then it would be okay with me, right? So for usually, yes, for people who want to groom arowana, usually we don't choose too much of a depth for our grooming period, because number one, the spectrum needs to be strong. So the deeper the tank, the spectrum will lose out when it goes further back.
Correct.
Right? It will lose its effect. Then if the fish decided to stay all the way at the back of the tank, then it will be a total waste already. Then my electricity bill all will be for nothing.
Okay.
So the tank, if let's say you are really considering for just grooming, then maybe if you can custom make a 3x2x2 or 4x2x2, it will be more than sufficient.
Okay. And then so let's talk about lighting. You mentioned the PL,
Yes, you
T5
can.
and
T8.
T8.
If not, you can go for LED if you really want to save electricity.
So if say for example, like I want to save electricity
Yes.
and I go for LED,
Yes.
is there a certain spectrum or wattage I should look out for?
Wattage not really, because nowadays everybody's talking about energy saving. So the wattage is all rather low already.
Yeah.
We can't really compare. So what I can suggest is some of them you can try those that get UV and UVB. Okay, those that include UV and UVB light effects inside the light. If not, another one that I actually can recommend is actually planted tank lights also as well.
So we continue. We're talking about the water, right? So, is there any other like water parameters that we need to look out for? Do you control for temperature or pH? Any of that, or is that usually just tap water is fine?
Okay, how do I put this? Okay, if we are talking about maybe keeping an arowana, right? You might want to, of course, we want the best for it. So definitely we will look out for the pH, like your ammonia, your nitrate, your nitrite. Okay, but one thing a lot of people must know that arowana is not a sensitive fish at all. It's actually very hardy. To be honest, when a fish tank inside water parameters for some reason messed up, or what is it, experience very huge fluctuation. Usually the last fish to die is the arowana.
Okay.
They are actually very hardy fish. They are quite versatile. They can almost adapt to any type of water.
Okay.
And that is one thing. But for talking about parameters wise, right, for red arowana, it's best to keep it around 6.5. That is their optimized pH level. But of course, we do see people that manage to keep them at 7, 7.5. It is still okay for them. We are not saying the fish is suffering, but because its survivability rate is so high, they can almost adapt to any water. They are fine. But if you are looking for the most natural way to keep them, you'll be at 6.5.
In terms of grooming, does it make any difference for the coloration?
Not really.
Alright.
It's just for the comfort level of the fish. No?
Okay.
I mean, also differs from different places. Like for example, sometimes for us, let's say our tank water is 7, right? But the farm people has been keeping it at around 6. Some places even down to 5 plus. Right? So to the fish, it might not be used to it because they are used to a very low pH environment. So the pH matters, right? Actually, it does not really affect the fish health unless straight away you cause it the pH shock. Like for example, your fish tank is 5.5 and then you throw it into a level 7 pH level, then of course definitely there will be something happen.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about acclimatizing slowly, then there will not be any issues actually, to be honest.
Okay.
They are quite hardy.
Okay.
But always try to keep the ammonia level and nitrite low. That is whatever fish also, right?
Yeah.
That one definitely will keep low.
Okay. And then so when it comes to like the aloe vera, right?
Yes.
So there are products like API stress coat that has aloe
Yes,
vera
yes,
inside.
yes.
So
Yes.
can you use that as a means to add aloe vera into the tank?
Yeah, you can. I mean, the reason why they call it stress coat for API, one thing is I myself prefer to use API products. So API, the stress coat actually is quite useful because it does build up the slime coat. But one thing for me is that stress coat, if you're not wrong, the concentration is not as good as their tap water conditioner, where 1 ml treats about 76 liters.
Yeah.
Because depending on the user, but if you were to look at my tanks, if I were to use the stress coat, I'll probably run away very long time ago. So I use tap water conditioner. Right? Because the tap water conditioner is much more concentrated, but it does not have the stress coat benefits. That's why I add aloe vera in myself.
So it's more cost effective to add in your own aloe vera, is it? Is that what you're saying?
For big tanks, yes. But if let's say you're using a small tank, then just use the stress coat. Then it's really, to be honest, I find using aloe vera quite a troublesome task.
Yeah.
I had to remove the skin, I had to
Right,
grind
yeah.
it, I had to wash everything over again. If API tap water actually has aloe vera inside, right, I would probably just use it already. I wouldn't even bother using the aloe vera itself for the stress
how
coat.
often do you dose it? Like, is it only as per water change, or does it fade over time and you have to redose?
You mean for the aloe vera?
Yeah, aloe vera.
Aloe vera wise, yes, definitely. When you do water change, you actually remove
Yeah.
some extract out. But for me, I use on case-to-case basis. I only use it in the point of time where I notice my fish appetite has all dropped by a lot. Or number two, because one thing when we catch the fish, we will actually get into contact with them sometimes. So
And
we
you
can
can-
judge the slime coat level. So if we touch the fish, you can feel the scales almost immediately, then I will dose it immediately really.
So it's not something that you leave in the tank all the time?
No. The only thing I leave in the tank for me as a user, I like to use salt. Because salt wise, they do have antibacterial properties.
Yeah.
So it's more of a preventive measure. I do not try to use medication as much as I do, as much as possible actually. Because for medication, they are the same, applies to fish and humans. If you were to dose medication regularly, right, after a while you'll find out that the fish actually get used to the certain dosage.
Yeah.
So the following time you need to dose a higher dose in order for it to work. So overall, it's not good on the fish.
Yeah.
No, most of them are trying to use salt and then see whether it will back naturally. If really cannot, then my last resort will be medication.
Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed today's video and hopefully you learned something new about arowanas. And if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on your post notifications so you get notified every time I upload. And if not, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace!